जय गौरा हरे. Welcome to another episode of TwoMuchWise.
This is the Warmup to the Bhagavad Gita series where we discuss and introduce some concepts of the Bhagavad Gita.
All that we speak is what we have learned from spiritualists and perfected teachers from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. Nothing that we say is of our own.
We have another series which is called the Gita Expedition series. It is a more detailed discussion on it where we explore the Gita verse by verse, chapter by chapter.
This episode is better heard than seen. So feel free to hear it while walking, while cooking, while driving, or even while working out.
We've had a lot of fun recording these sessions, and we hope that you too have a good experience hearing these, watching these. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
So, what are we talking about today, Prabhu?
We are talking about God.
Oh, what about him, or her, or that,
Or it.
or it?
I've heard, I don't know.
There's this movie.
Yeah.
There was this movie that I saw when I was a kid. It was called "The Gods Must Be Crazy." It's a very famous movie. I don't know if you've seen it. But the basic plot is in Africa, in a tribal area. Upar se there's a airplane flying, and in that airplane, say someone drinks a Coke ka bottle and drops it, and it falls in this tribal area in some remote part of Africa where they're just tribals living. They don't know anything, no civilization they've ever seen, and when they see this one bottle of Coke, they have no idea what it is. And it's a glass bottle. They उसे आवाज करते हैं, उससे चीजें तोड़ते हैं, तो become they basically think it's a godsend. And the whole story is about that. So that actually made me think that what is the big fuss about this whole God? Why is there such a need for us to have a concept like God? Like it's a universal thing. You go anywhere and every. It's not like पंजाबीज में होते हैं, तमिल में नहीं होते हैं, या ऑस्ट्रेलिया में नहीं होते, बट यूएस में होता है. नॉट लाइक दैट. इट्स अ यूनिवर्सल थिंग. इट्स अ टाइमलेस थिंग. पहले से people are thinking about it, they're wondering about it. So what is the whole thing about? Why is there a need to have a god? Is there a need to have a god?
Normally, we feel the need when we are in situations which are not in control. So then
Yeah.
mm, you need a sense of security. You need to feel that there is someone who's got your back, and that's when God comes in. Usually, so across
Yeah.
regions, times, that's been the reason. And then there are, of course, some who are seekers, and like they're seekers at different levels. No, seekers
Yeah.
also want to know what is beyond this creation, who has created all of this. So
Yeah.
that's why there's the concept of
Yeah, I
God.
think that's those are the two things that, yeah, of course it can just be a concept that people who are in need, just for their motivation, just for their emotional support, there's a concept which gives them solace. They have faith in it, and it gives them emotional support. It's conjured up, right? That's one concept. But something beyond that is also there, that is not just for an emotional support, but uh, if you see the world around, it's a creation. So if there's a creation, there has to be a creator. Uh, it's a logical thing to think about. That is the higher thought, I guess. So if I mean, I was even while I was asking the question right now, ki, why is there a need for a god? I think that's a wrong question to ask, because if God is, or is if God is there, or is God there, or is God not there? Maybe that's the question to ask, uh, rather than need. Because when the question becomes what is the need for God, then it becomes a more of a human thing. That do you need God? Okay, then you make one up for yourself. Do you, the other person, if you don't need God, okay, fine, you don't have one, that's okay.
Hmm. Yeah. We covered this bit of why God last
Yeah.
time. So uh, if there is another thing about the entire concept of God, another perspective, which is that we are really a generation, we and the generation above us, and the generation which is going to come after us. We together a generation which is very information heavy. We value information
mm,
a lot. We thrive on information, uh, because that's how the education system is, right? Like, at least
mm,
my 10th and 12th were all about mugging. And then today we
mm.
take pride if I know something and the other person doesn't know something.
Yeah.
Yeah, best
Yep.
conversations are those where the other person doesn't know and I know. Like, that's a really good
Right.
conversation. So in this generation of information, you can get very limited certain information about God, because if you go out and try to understand God through senses, then you will fail, right? uh,
Yeah.
so so the perspective I'm trying to land here is that in this uh, era of information, you tie God to information, and then God becomes whatever you are well informed about, whatever concept you are well informed about, or it
Yeah.
is or you don't want to approach God, like you don't want to approach that uh, subject matter because you will not know information for certain.
Right. That uncertainty, because it leads to uh, uncomfortable situations or undesired situations. That's why we say, okay, it's uncertain, so rather let it be, and I don't even go near it, basically.
Correct. That's, and the first part, which is that God is that entity or that concept or that person about whom I know the most, relates to what
Hmm.
we discussed the last time, which is my religion, the religion I was born in. So this is how God sort of ends up being very bucketed, very bracketed. uh,
Yeah.
it's a perspective. But interesting, why God has to be one, like he has to be a single entity or single person or a single definition, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's just one, right? It's God is God. Like your God, my God cannot be different. God is God. Then why are religions talking about different gods? Why are forget religions, why are we in general so talking such contradictory things about God? Like some are saying God is a person, some are saying God is energy, some are saying God is all the energy combined, some are saying God
Yeah.
is the energy in every atom. So
Yeah.
that's
Actually, and all of this flies. If you say all of this about God in a single sentence to someone, they won't even think of it as contradictory, because they're like, yeah, all of this must be true, might be true. I don't know what it is, so I rather not talk about it. So people call God a light energy, as you said. All of this, we've heard all of this, and there's so many concepts about God that we keep hearing. But what is it really? Like today we basically want to talk about that, what is God in reality, as we know it, as we have been taught, and why that makes sense. Why does it make sense to us,
yeah.
basically?
All these concepts of God, they're all reconciled, they all make perfect
Yes,
sense,
yes, yes,
they
yes,
all
yes,
coexist. They're actually not
yes.
contradictory, they coexist. But this clarity comes to you when you read the Bhagavad Gita, like that. It came
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
us when we read the Bhagavad Gita, that, oh,
Yeah.
this is also God, this is also God, this is also God, this is also God, but this is how they're reconciled, like this is the logic.
Yeah, this is not discrete information just flying around, or they're not contradictory either. It's all interrelated, and it's all actually complementary, and simultaneously true. That, and it's comfortably simultaneously true. It's not that ha tera bhi sahi mera bhi sahi, just because we don't want to
Yeah,
fight or talk about it, but makes sense in that sense, that okay, yeah, both of these together do exist, and this is how they exist. That clarity is what
yeah,
the Gita really gives.
yeah. And basically you're saying it's not, you're rightly saying it's not intellectual adjustment, it's not conflict
No, it's not
resolution,
an
it's
adjustment.
actually
Yeah.
so elementary in actuality, factually.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we broadly divide all these concepts into two to begin with, let's say
Yeah.
God as energy and God as a person or as somebody with a form. So God without a form and God with a form. How are they
Yeah.
complemented by the Bhagavad Gita?
So I mean,
Want to chat about it?
we don't even think of form and not form. We basically the concept is that God is there, and we pray to God. Basically, we pray to the concept of God, a higher
Yeah,
energy, a higher power. And that's something that is there. And on the other hand, there is iconography. There is actually a person with a name, with attributes, characteristics, and all of that. And throughout the world both of these exist. And sometimes when for example when I used to pray or whatever, when I was a kid, as a kid, I never knew who I was praying to, even though I was raised a Hindu, with being introduced to many, actual personalities as God, right? Different forms per se. When I was introduced to them, कि आज इनको pray करो, आज इनको pray करो, आज इनको pray करो. But when my general prayer went out real, I never had a face to because all of these forms were introduced to me as God. I never really put a face to who I'm praying to. I just prayed ki kuch hai, if I pray I'll just get what I want. That's, as a kid, that's the mentality that I had. And I think that happens a lot, more than anything else.
Yeah, that's actually that's the formless bit, right? uh,
Yeah, that's the formless
this
bit. Yeah,
is what you were talking about is something you did, but this is also something that a lot of us are still
is
doing.
taught also. Yeah,
They're still doing it, right? Because
yeah,
if an attempt is not made to understand about God, then you just pray to a higher power. uh,
yeah.
and sometimes even after an attempt we end up reaching the understanding that God is formless.
Right.
So how does Bhagavad Gita reconcile? You want to talk? Should I talk? You share your thoughts
You
first.
can start.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. So there are many ways in which this concept is explained by our teachers. But the one which I really like, which is very simple, is the concept of the distance at which you the distance at which you're standing away from God and looking at God. So uh, the common example given here is that of a train. When a train is really
Hmm.
really far, you're looking at a train from really far in the dark, you just see a light, right? And you see a light and you think, oh, there is a light there. As the train starts coming closer and closer and closer and
Yeah,
closer, you start seeing the details of the train. You start seeing, oh, there is an
yeah,
engine, oh, there are boxes, oh, you can go in and sit. So this is
yeah,
fantastic way to understand this, which is essentially, in one word, it's the detail.
yeah,
If you look at God in detail, you end up finding that he's a person. But if you look at God from far, not going too much into detail, then yes, God is energy. Energy.
yeah. I think that's an amazing analogy. That when you see something from really far away, and you think, oh, that's something really bright. I can't see beyond the light, but that's something really bright. But if you want to know the detail, you come near and you get to know the detail. You're like, okay, it's this place from which the light is coming from. What does that place? What is that source? How does that look? As you said, the approaching train, the bogies, inside the bogie, the details. I think yeah, that's a great way to understand this concept.
Yeah. And the different religions, and even within religion, even within one religion, let's say for now Hinduism, there are explanations of both God as a person with a form, and God as not having a form, right? So uh, both of these are correct, but one is
Yeah,
more
we heard
detailed
that.
than the other. That's all.
Yeah, we hear that, right? Like, God is everywhere, God is in us, and God is there in the temple as the deity form. So we worship God in all ways. Like, oh, God is everywhere, and in each one of us God is present. We accept that as well, and we go to the temples as well. And I think yeah, we do practice that in our religion as well.
Yeah, but while all these three are true, which is God is everywhere, God is in everything, and God is a person, there is a hierarchy to this understanding.
Yes.
uh, God being everywhere and God being in each of us is a manifestation of the energy of the God, and that
Hmm.
collective energy together is God. As in, it's
Yeah,
energy without energetic doesn't make sense, and energetic without energy doesn't make sense. So all of this energy is God. Yes,
yeah.
that's true. But behind this energy there is an energetic who is the
Yes.
source of all this energy. So that is like
Right.
a slightly higher truth. If the energetic is
Right.
not there, then the energy doesn't make sense, and the energetic has to be there first, as the origin of the energy. So
Yeah.
One may worship energy, but logically, uh, it just makes more sense. Like, intuitively it makes more sense to say, okay, this this energy of God, which is everywhere, which is the entire universe together, which is the presence of God in each and every atom in each of us, this power of God, this energy of God is coming from a person God. So
Yeah, I think even Srila Prabhupada uh, has put quite some significant emphasis on this, to explain this factor, that yeah, you can definitely, you're totally okay, it's totally fine to worship any aspect of God, this energy aspect or the energetic aspect of God. If you, but you need to worship whatever you, whoever, whichever aspect you worship, do it with the correct full knowledge. Don't worship the energy, and then because you are you have a likening towards the energy part, energy element, energy aspect of God. Don't say that the energy aspect is all in all and there is no
yeah,
energetic. That's something that he really emphatically explained, and tried to drive that point in, that have the full understanding, and then you're totally free to worship whichever aspect you want to. That aspect is not being taken away from you. But yeah, have the full understanding of it, and in that true understanding, worship whichever aspect you want to.
okay. So what are the other confusions about God? One is formless. We've discussed that. What else?
Yeah, there's the many gods theory, that like, because especially in Hinduism, and then there is different religions. There is Allah, there is Jehovah, there is so many things. There's Bhagavan, and there's Uparwala, and then even in that there are so many different things. For example, if you see in Greek mythology, in Greek mythology there are different gods per se. There is Zeus, and then there is this, and then there is that, and it's quite fascinating when you go into it. But all of them are known as gods, right? And they keep competing with each other and cooperating with each other. They have different stories, all of that. But are these all gods? They're all different gods, and we are talking about one single god. What is that confusion about? That is one thing that prevails even in India, for that matter. We have so many different temples, so many different deities. And if you ask any, you know any actual Hindu, practicing Hindu, any average Hindu, if you ask them, it'll make them very uncomfortable, and they'll not, I don't think they'll choose that who is the actual god in all of them. The person, in all probability, will say that all of them are god. What do you mean which one of them is god? All of them are god. Right? And I think that's a confusion that is unfortunate, because in Hinduism, especially in the Vedic culture per se, we have the detail. You said light and bogey and train. It's all about the detail. Yeah, we do have all the detail. Vedic scriptures give us all the details, that who actually is God and why are there so many deities. Yeah, your thoughts on that?
I think uh, if I divide whatever you said into two parts, the first part is around religions. Religions, if you look at the major
Yeah,
religions of the world, all of them are monotheistic, right? There is one God. Now you may name
most of
him,
them. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you may name him Allah or Jehovah or Ram or Krishna, uh, Ram Krishna belonging to the same religion, but or Father. hmm, uh, there is one entity, there is one God. You may
Right.
call him the all powerful, which is Allah. You may call him the all merciful, which is Jehovah, or you may call him the source of all of us, which is Father. But there is one God, right? uh,
Yeah,
the the more confused lot is us Indians. The
yeah.
followers, or if not followers, the subscribers
We're
of
spoiled,
Hinduism.
spoiled for choice.
Yeah, yeah. And the number floats around these days. We all know there are 33 crore gods in Hinduism in
Yeah,
India. So we are the most confused lot. From a religion lens, it's really very, very clear. Uh, there is one God, there is one originator, and there are different ways to worship him, different ways to connect with him, and you can choose, pick any path, uh, Islam or Christianity or Judaism. uh, just be committed, dedicated to the path you pick, and be educated about it. So re- religion is not that confusing. The more confusing bit is Hinduism itself. Um,
Yeah.
Within Hinduism, if I just jump, I uh, cut it short and jump to what the conclusion is. Within Hinduism, you can divide all the gods into actually two parts. Okay, the first part uh, is, let's call it for now, uh, mm, the god gene. Okay, I don't want to use the technical name, so I'm going to use a more relatable name. Let's call it the god gene. So there is a god gene, so there are certain gods that have the god gene. Okay, and we'll talk about it. And then there is the mm, ordinary gene. Okay, there is the ordinary gene.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, what is the god gene? God gene is, god is there, and what god does is, god is all powerful, so god expands himself and takes up different forms for different purposes. Okay, and
Yeah.
as he takes forms for understanding, we can say that the god gene is in all these forms, because he literally, it's me only, and I'm present in that form also, I'm present in that form also, I being god. So the god gene is in all these forms I've expanded into. These god gene forms are often called avatars, or
Yeah.
incarnations, or expansions. Okay, this is the god gene. And then there is the ordinary gene. Who is the ordinary gene? I am the ordinary gene. You are the ordinary gene. We are not gods, right? But sometimes the
Yeah.
ordinary gene does extraordinary work. The ordinary
Right.
gene does extraordinary work, and that's so extraordinary that it really comes close to what the god gene but it is not the god gene, right? And these
Yeah.
ordinary uh, gene people doing extraordinary work, they're called demigods, right?
Right.
So
Devatas.
devatas, correct. So devatas are like you and me, but they've done extraordinary
Superhuman.
work historically, and they're doing
Human, but
extraordinary work
superhuman.
now. Yeah, superhuman, superhuman. So
Yeah.
there is this very clear and clean classification of all spirits, all souls. One is the god gene soul, will always be god, and god gene souls has different forms for different purposes. Then there is the ordinary
Yeah.
gene, which is us, and then there is a third one, which is ordinary gene with extraordinary work, which is the superhuman.
Yeah.
Example of devatas, so many: Kartike, Ganesha. Uh, then there is, we have so many matas,
The
Lakshmi Ma,
interesting part,
Saraswati
the
Mata.
interesting part is that the more names you take here, the more enemies you earn, because
Yeah, I know.
uh, whosever
I'm
camp
making
anybody
enemies
is
here.
in. But that's actually the interesting part, that we come from that camp. We had
Yeah,
camps too, like why would we turn against our own whatever uh, gods, or it's not that's the thing. The Bhagavad Gita gives very clear understanding. I'm so surprised when I read the Gita for the first time. I was so surprised why these confusions are there, because all of us call the Gita our dharm granth. The whole Hindu community calls Gita the dharm granth. There's no conflict there. There's no whatever teams there that nahi meri Gita hai, तुम्हारी कुछ और है, ये है. No, everybody agrees that uh, the Hindus or Sanatan dharms dharm granth is the Gita. The Gita is so clear. Krishna in the Gita is so clearly saying demigods, and he's using these words. He's using devatas, pitris. He's saying all of this so clearly. And then I just was baffled that where did we lose the ball, and how did we end up into this mess where we have taken up camps inside our own religion, and now we just cannot talk about it. The truth just cannot come out.
yeah. It goes back to education, but we're not educated enough. But if we re-educate ourselves, if we pick up the Bhagavad Gita today, which we are going to do
Yeah.
soon, as a new, I will read it together. But in general, if we pick up the Bhagavad Gita today, is complete clarity. There's complete clarity. There is no khichdi of Hinduism. There is no confusion about who these 33 crore Devi Devtas are. You know what
Yeah.
they do. You know that they're administrators, they work in service of God, they work for God,
Yeah.
they hold really important posts in the government of God, and this government is maintaining universes. So they work for God, and hence, they're dear to God.
They're worshipable for sure, they're respectable for sure, nobody denies that. Nobody is taking that away from them. They do amazing service. In fact, Krishna says that people who do service, who are who are serving him as devotees, are more worshipable than him. That's what God himself says. But they're definitely worshipable, hence there are so many medieval ancient, you can date back deities for really long time, because they're actually worshipable, hence we have their deities, hence we have their yagyas, hence we have their mantras. These are not things that are made up. Obviously all
Yeah.
of them are worshipable, but they're not worshipable as the supreme god, the supreme personality of godhead. They're worshipable as whatever post that they hold. Just like all ministers are not prime minister. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. But to understand that, yeah, we need to keep our preconceived notions aside, I guess. And that is something which becomes the challenge. Yeah. And this is what the whole reconcile thing that we were talking about, this is where it all reconciles. That is God one? Yes, God is one. Is God everywhere? Is God energy? Yes, God's energy is also powerful, because it is his energy, it is power. But he is the one, he's the source of all power. Hence the energy has an energetic, in an ultimate sense. God has a form, he's one singularity. And all the other personalities are basically devatas, or serving empowered entities who are there to serve him in different capacities.
I think you picked up on a very good analogy, which is that of the government. uh, there is Narendra Modi, who is the prime minister. Then there is Amit Shah, and there is Nirmala Sitaraman, and then there is let's say Yogi Adityanath. They're all doing great service to Modi, isn't it? Uh, and if I have to go to Modi, then of course I can try to go directly to Modi, or I can choose to go through Yogi Adityanath or through Nirmala Sitaraman or Amit Shah, and I can tell them, hey, tell me how I can help you, how I can contribute to your service to the Prime Minister. And then eventually I
Yeah.
would also want to serve the Prime Minister directly. I would want to meet. So hence, demigods stay worshipable. Amit Shah stays worshipable. Nirmala Sitaraman stays worshipable. But you must know that they're not the prime minister. Prime minister is still Narendra
Right.
Modi. You can't say, okay, so if I have to work under Yogi Adityanath, okay, Yogi Adityanath is the prime minister.
Yeah. If you think about it, it becomes embarrassing. If I work under, I mean, this is an ideal world, but if my father is the head of the family, and there's the whole family, my father is the head of the family, and there are people who have just known me, and have worked for me, and they come up to me and they say, no, no, you're the head of the family, we just know about you, you're
Yeah,
the head of the family. I'll be embarrassed. I'll be like, no, my father is the head of the family. Like all of this, your service is is basically indirectly service to him only, because I am serving him as the head of the family. uh, so if you come and say, no, no, you're the head of the family, I don't know this person, I don't know this person, it's actually embarrassing and offensive as well. I will take offense, because someone I serve myself, you're offending them by ignoring their actual original position. And you're embarrassing me by, in front of them, in their presence, telling me that, no, you are the one, you have the ownership of that position.
yeah.
So it's both embarrassing and offensive, if you see, in actuality, basically.
Yeah, yeah, and there are descriptions in our scripture in so many times, so many places where this correction is happening, like where the demigods are saying, no, 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 you're getting it wrong. I'm not God. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think it becomes difficult, mm, in a way, to have this clarity, because you've been living thinking that this entity, let's say Ganesh, or let's
Yeah.
say Shiva, or let's say Kartike, he is God for me since childhood. And now suddenly someone else is coming and telling me, no, 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 they're not God. So I can't.
You're shaking a Anyway, the belief system is very fragile because it's ill informed. So it's mostly, we've spoken about it, that it's mostly based on emotions. So something which is high on emotions, less on less on logic, less on facts, less on education, if you come and shake that up, the usual reaction is an extreme one anyway. The usual reaction is a shut down and you shut up. I will shut down and you will shut down. I will shut you up. That is the usual reaction anyway, and that's what I mean, we see that happening many times.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hop on to then who is the prime minister? Uh, like, let
The
the name
scriptures
be
say,
revealed.
if Bhagavad Gita is our dharam granth, then the speaker of the, there's a reason why the Gita is our dharam granth, because or our prime scripture, because the speaker is God Himself. It's directly from God and very concise. It's called Vedasar. The essence of all scriptures coming from God Himself. When He is having a conversation with His beloved friend, He is actually revealing to him, to Arjun, the real secrets, the topmost. Guyatamam, he says, this knowledge is most confidential, and I'm revealing this to you because you're my friend. Sakhet, calls him Sakha, and he calls him Priyam, because he is beloved to him. Uh, he's his beloved friend, and he's basically his devotee, right? He's his friend, he's a beloved devotee, hence he's revealing it to him. Guyatamam means the most confidential. He's revealing this knowledge in this book, in this scripture, in this conversation, which is called the Gita. And who is revealing it? It's Krishna himself, it is God himself. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. It's right there. It's like a um, it's like the Da Vinci Code. It's like angels and demons. You have all these clues, you have elaborate setup and everything, but by the end of it you realize that, oh, the name was right in front of your eyes. It was just like an anagram which now arranged itself in a way, and it's revealing what was right in front of your eyes all the time. The Bhagavad Gita says, calls Krishna Shri Bhagavan Vacha. It reveals, the compiler of all Vedic scripture, Vedvyas, is naming him right there, Bhagavan, Sri Bhagavan. So he's revealing it there that
Yeah.
God is Krishna. And again, it's a reconciliation. Why? Because it doesn't disturb anybody. Someone will say, no, what does that mean? People who think Allah is God, are they wrong? No, they're just calling Krishna by a different name. God has so many different names. Even Krishna, as Krishna has different names. There's a Vishnu Sahasra Nam, which basically means Vishnu's thousand names. There's Krishna has so many: Madhusudan, Govinda, Gopal, Giridhar. And what are all these names? They're names based on his activities and his attributes. So just like that, Krishna means all attractive. That's all. Um, and you're just calling him by different names. You can call the sun by different names, but the sun remains the sun. Just like that, you can call God by different names, but he remains God. So you don't need to get disturbed. Whatever bona fide religion you're practicing, whatever bona fide scriptures you're following, whatever bona fide dharma that you're following, you don't need to get disturbed by this. In fact, you rejoice. This information makes you rejoice. If you're a true spiritualist, this information actually makes you rejoice, because now you have more detail about the God that you're worshiping. Now you know the address, now you know what he likes to eat, now you know where he lives, now you know what he wears. All of that. You just have more detail about the same person that you're anyway worshiping. So it makes a true spiritualist actually rejoices at this revolution.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah. There's also this the in Bhagavad Gita, like you said, he's declaring it, and Vyasadeva is also saying Shri Bhagavan Vacha. There are so many times and so many places in the Bhagavad Gita where he's saying, I am God. Krishna is literally saying, I am God. I am the creator.
Yeah, he himself says it. Yeah.
Then
Worship me, bow down to
to
me.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, nature runs under my control.
My control. Yeah.
All the energies come from me. Like, there is no confusion.
Yeah.
He is declaring it. It's me
Yeah.
only. And there is no other Hindu scripture. There's no demigod who declares I am God.
Right.
Uh, There is, okay, I'm the god of this world. I am the
I
Well,
hold this position,
yeah,
I take care of this
yeah.
department.
These
All of
people,
that is there. Yeah,
these set of people, these type of species, I'm their god. Nobody's saying, hey, listen, I am the origin. There is nobody above me. Krishna
yeah,
says this. There is nothing above me. There's nobody above me. That's it. I'm the end. I
yeah,
am the origin.
yeah.
So much.
And he says it in with all concern. He doesn't say it like a egomaniac.
Yeah.
He basically says it out of concern, because he wants to reveal the truth to Arjun, and he says, don't be confused by all of this. Just, this is the truth. Here, I'm giving it to you. You don't need to wander around. You don't need to conjecture. You don't need to do any of that. Here, I'm giving it to you. I am God, and I'm telling you about myself, that I'm revealing my identity to you, that I am God. Here it is. You don't need to go anywhere else.
The other bit that I really like, the other bit that you mentioned, which I really like, is that if you're following a bona fide religion, nothing changes for you. There is a
Yeah,
certain way in which you practice your relationship with God, in which you
yeah,
build your relationship with God. You continue that. It's just that you know
exactly.
more details about God now. Uh,
Right.
because once you've read Bhagavad Gita and you know, okay, Krishna is God, then you can move. There are more details about Krishna in the Mahabharata, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and from there you get to know, okay, as you said, his address, his what he likes, what he dislikes. But that doesn't change how you reach him. You reach him
Yeah,
the way you're practicing, given it's bona fide.
yeah,
And that's how it's all coming together. Different religions, different conceptions of God.
yeah.
Krishna brings it all together in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada said this, that the Bhagavad Gita, or becoming a devotee, or Bhakti Yoga, it makes you a better Christian, it makes you a better
Yeah,
Muslim, it makes you a better Jew, because all these religions are teaching you the same thing, that how you can get closer to God, how you can redevelop, rediscover, rekindle, unveil your dormant love for God. You can do that. That's what all religions are there for. They're just structured, way different structures, but structured way to reach the same goal. And if your goal is the same, to develop your dormant love for God, there's one God, which is Krishna, then how is this disturbing anybody? It's not, right?
yeah. So you continue to call Krishna Allah, right? You continue to call
Exactly.
him Jehovah. Nothing changes. Uh,
Yeah,
but like, continue doing what you're doing, or if you're not doing anything, then pick up something.
yeah,
Let
yeah,
let now that
yeah,
everything is reconciled, pick up one path. So
exactly. Yeah,
okay, so then Krishna is saying he's God, clear. Then we know there are some demigods. So then is
yeah,
Vishnu also demigod? Is Ramji not God? Because Ramji is also considered God. And then there are so
yeah.
many Vara, Matsya. These are, we say they are all coming from their incarnations of Vishnu. So what happens to Vishnu and Ram, which is basically the God gene, avatars, the incarnations. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, again, in that also there's so much confusion. Who's God? My favorite one, this and that. But it's quite simple. One original God who has all qualities in full, all of that. When he decides that one quality, or certain set of qualities, I'm gonna manifest in more magnitude, in dominance over the others, because I have all qualities. Out of that, for example, if I take four qualities and I want to come only in that dominant sense. That is an avatar, nothing else. For example, Narsimhadev. If anybody knows Narsimhadev, they know which quality I'm talking about. It's anger, but with anger, it's a lot of compassion, uh, protection, protection of their devotees. Anybody can ask us this question. If you come to an ISKCON Hare Krishna temple in the morning for the morning program, we'll be at one moment we'll be singing glories of Krishna, the next moment we'll be singing Narsimharati. Uh, so
How's
people
God
will be
one?
like, what is this? How's God on your, so you have four forms already on your altar. Yeah, on your altar only have four forms.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is what again reconciles the fact that Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead, but he takes different forms. It's him only, but it's a dominant, if a set of his characteristics are dominant in these avatars. For example, in Ram avatar, Sri Ram, he comes as Maryada Purushottam, right? In Narsimha Avatar, he comes to show his protective side for his devotees, that he'll go to all lengths to protect his devotee. Kurma avatar, Matsya avatar, all of these different avatars. He comes for different reasons. Kali, who's yet to come, he has a different purpose. But in all of Mohini, and they're not just 10, Dasavatar is not where it stops. The Bhagavatam, in the starting itself, in the first canto itself, tells us there's unlimited. We'll talk about that later, but they're unlimited avatars. Why wouldn't they be? Krishna has unlimited qualities. He can come in unlimited avatars because that's how he manifests. Some we've heard, some we haven't. And but the fact remains that where have you heard all these avatars? आपने भागवतम से ही सुना है ना, like you heard of the Das avatar from the Bhagavatam only, or the Puranas only. So the same person who's compiled all of this, Ved Vyas, who's told us about all of these avatars, he is the same person in his magnum opus final literature that he's produced, that he's compiled, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the first part, in the first volume, or the first canto as we call it, itself, he's saying that but all of these are kala pumsa.
Mm.
He says
It,
these are all just incarnations or plenary portions of the original Krishnastu
Bhagavan
Bhagavan Swayam.
Swayam.
He says Krishna is the original supreme personality of God, and everyone else is just a kala or just an avatar of Krishna. Then where is the problem? What is the problem in accepting? See, nobody will have a problem if you say that हाँ ये भी भगवान है, Krishna भी भगवान है, Ram भी भगवान है, Narsimha भी भगवान. Nobody will have a problem with that. But why does anybody have a problem in accepting that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead? It's only, you just have to ask yourself a question, that why do I have is this a possibility? Yes or no? It might be a possibility. If it is, it might be a possibility. Why do I have, and why do I have this difficulty accepting it? If you ask yourself this question, you'll know the answer. The root of it is because you haven't known it the way it's being presented right now. What you've known beforehand, you just want that not to be disturbed. That's all. That is the only reason why. If that is the only reason why, then it's problematic, because then you don't want the truth. You want your truth. You don't want the absolute truth. You want your truth to be protected, and that's not gonna be the way um, to take you to the right destination, because again it's you centric, and that's totally opposite of what anyway spirituality wants us to be. It From being you centric, from being me centric, from being I centric, it has to be God centric. And if it has to be God centric, acceptance of God's instructions through scriptures is the first step anyway. And the scriptures tell us that God is Krishna, Krishna is God.
Mm. I want to touch upon and bring out 2 points here. One is what is mentioned about Vyasadev. I'm feeling like, oh my god, again there is something so obvious that we miss, which is that whatever Hinduism is, it's based on everything that Vyasadeva has compiled. Like,
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
just forget that. If we just step back and see, okay, this is somebody's quoting from this Puran, somebody's quoting from this Shastra, this Veda, this Upanishad, this Sutra. Who has compiled all of them? Vedvyas. And Vedvyas is saying clearly in the Bhagavatam, the
Yeah. So
shloka
clearly. Yeah.
that you quoted, Krishna,
1.3.26, if
yeah,
I'm not wrong.
he's
Yeah.
saying, and then he's compiled the Bhagavad Gita, right? So then over there also it's very clear. So listen to the compiler of the books that are giving you knowledge, and it'll be clear. That's a
Yeah.
really uh, good way in which you put it. It gives a lot of clarity. The other part is, I have never thought uh, I've never thought that somebody can go to the ISKCON temple and look at all the deities and then say, "Are sabhi bhagwan hai, ye bhi bhagwan hai, ye bhi bhagwan hai, ye bhi bhagwan hai. Oh, everyone is God." So
That's the thing. Even you and I, when we didn't know all of this, we also did never ask that question, because we never think.
yeah,
Even in that critical way, we never think.
yeah, yeah,
We never think.
yeah. So then the there are Krishna expands Krishna's incarnation or avatars which are unlimited, but these avatars and incarnations are different from demigods, so we must not confuse them with demigods. So there are unlimited avatars, and then there are demigods, and there is clarity. You have names of all demigods, like the demigod for sun, his name is there,
Yeah.
Vivaswan. The demigod for
Yeah.
water, his name is there, Varun. The
Yeah,
demigod for fire, his name is there, Agni Dev. But the incarnations have different names. There is Ram, Vara, Matsya, Kurma,
yeah,
so on and so forth. So when you know these lists, it's like going back to primary school and making a list. Okay, okay, these are the incarnations. Oh, and these are the demigods. It's that clear in clear
yeah.
like clearly given by Vasudeva to us.
And in avatars also, it's not a hierarchy, it's not hierarchical. You'll not go and say that it's not like a trump card, trump card game where you say, oh, Narsimhadev is height 7 inches, chest 40. You don't do all of that. In fact, that's considered offensive. You don't think of these avatars are higher and lower. You don't think of, you think of all of them. You basically, it's all about, I mean, I don't know if this is a good topic to touch here because it's a vast one. But when you love someone, in whatever form they come, in fact, for example, your child is there. You have a child, and child comes in different costumes, in different different dresses or whatever, and you like them in all of them. But originally, yeah, your kid is your kid. This is my original kid. Aj the kid is acting like this, Aj the kid is acting like that. But that love that you have for your child, you will enjoy, and you will even it really nourishes your heart to see all these different things, because you have that love for that original child of yours.
Yeah,
Just like that, there's not like a hierarchy, but yeah, because we have love for Krishna, and now we have the knowledge that he comes in these different incarnations for different purposes. It is more relishable, it is more worshipable, and hence we worship all of them in different variety. And that's where all the fun is basically.
yeah.
But yeah, originally you have to have love for the singularity, for the supreme personality of Godhead, that is Krishna.
I really like.
If you have that, then there's no conflict. In fact, whatever reasons that actually bring conflict, the same reasons will actually nourish your heart, will give you reasons to relish spirituality. The same reasons, it becomes variety, it doesn't become difference. It doesn't become a difference that brings in conflict, it becomes a difference that brings in variety, uh, in which you can enjoy spirituality even more.
It adds flavor. It
It adds flavor, yeah.
and all flavors are nice. It's not like, okay,
Yes,
this flavor is bigger, higher than this flavor. I
yeah,
I like how you made it so relatable with the kid in the costume. It also reminds me of the example we read often, which is that all the avatars are like flames of a candle. Like it's all the
yes,
same, but there has to be one flame, the original flame,
that
which
lit
lit
all of
up another flame, and then that lit up another. But there is one original flame, and that original flame is Krishna.
yes.
Okay. Okay, I think it's been a good discussion. But before we close, there is one topic I think we may miss out on, which is uh, we've covered God gene, God and avatars. We've covered the ordinary gene, where some ordinary genes do extraordinary work, which are the demigods. What about the
Yeah,
ordinary genes that do ordinary work, which is us? Can we ever
yeah.
become avatars? Number one. Number two, can we become ordinary genes who do extraordinary work? And do we want to be that?
I think just like we can take up posts, because again, posts that you take up as devatas, if I can use that word, as superhumans. Yeah, a human can become superhuman, but a human can never become God. That is where the line is, right? That
Yeah.
if you want to have superpowers as a superhuman, yeah, you can become a superhuman. In fact, as a soul, as an ordinary soul, ordinary gene, I can either go down, uh, I can even lose the position of a human also, and go down in different species. Or as a human, I can go up and become superhuman, or as we call it, devatas. We can do that, we can do all of this. But that's all of it is in the material realm. Either you become superhuman or human, or
Tiger. Rat.
underhuman, or whatever. Yeah, whatever you become, all of it is in material realm, because all of this is related to the body. That's why anything related to the body is in the material realm. Now, but this jump from a normal soul to a god, to becoming god, not a god, but to becoming god, can never happen, because that is something that was always different, that is different, and that will always be different, separate, right? Nobody becomes god. Either you are god, or you're not. That's why there is only one God. There's never been a change of God, right? कि परसों ये गॉड थे, आज ये है गॉड, कल ये गॉड होंगे, नहीं। और आज 4 गॉड हैं, कल 5 होंगे, कल उसके बाद 3 होंगे, नो। There's never been a change there. There has been only one God, and that is Krishna. And that's always going to be the same. Everybody else is basically an ordinary gene, as you call. And uh, and there's in fact nothing wrong in being an ordinary gene. That's our position. Our ambition is not to become God. That's not our ambition. Our ambition is to have a relationship with God, because that's what we are supposed to be doing originally, as the scriptures reveal to us. um, it's just that, जैसे कि jigsaw puzzle is there, no, a jigsaw puzzle, it fits, it has a certain original shape, and only if you find its place and orient it right, it fits. Otherwise, you're basically trying to fit it anywhere. Have you ever felt as if we are misfits? Have you ever felt, I'm trying to find my calling in this world? Have you ever felt that I'm trying to find my place in this world? We've used all this, all these words sometimes in our lives, and sometimes we feel also like, okay, now I found it. But after some years, the same thing that you thought was your calling is now feeling tasteless, and now you have to find some new calling.
You're never
um,
a happy
Actually,
jigsaw puzzle piece.
yeah, we're never a happy jigsaw puzzle piece because we've never found our place, that real place where we actually fit. The scriptures tell us is that you have a relationship with God. If you fulfill that, that's where you'll fit and you'll be happy. You'll be part of the bigger picture.
Yeah. We can never be God. I can never be God. You can
Never
never
be
be God.
God. Yeah.
There's actually one school of theism which says that, which misunderstands the Vedic scriptures to say that we all can become God. But just like common sense, if I was God and I'm not God today, then how was I God? Like, if I
That
was
means
God,
I was
then
never God.
how did I become
Never
ungod? Like,
God.
how can God become ungod? God is God. Then God will be powerful God only. How can he lose
Yeah.
his powers? Uh, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
God is God. Being God is not a power. Saying it also makes me feel so cheap inside. Like, अभी मेरे को अजीब सा फीलिंग आया यहाँ पे कि God is not a power, right? कि that you, now I'm God, today I'm God. No, Krishna never does that. But if you know God really, then you'll never think like that. You'll never think like that, because it's not a power hungry thing, as you do, as we feel in this boss, I'm someone's boss. No, it's a very loving relationship. But I don't know if we have scope of, I think I'm running out of scope right now by talking about love and love of God and relationship with God. So I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm going to talk about it later,
Okay, that's
when
actually
we
a good
discuss the Gita, when we discuss the Bhagavatam, maybe.
yeah. That's a good topic for another episode. What is like
Yeah,
practically love and relationship of God, because it sounds very sentimental, emotional. So let's discuss it
yeah,
one day. I think for the next session, maybe we could talk a bit more about Krishna, because he's a
yeah,
controversial personality.
yeah.
He's a very controversial personality, and he's God. So maybe we can
Oh
talk.
man, he's made it tough for us.
Yeah,
He's made it tough for us.
yeah. But that's like the moat. If you got to know him, then you got to have clarification about all these controversies. That's
Yeah,
how you know him in depth. That's how you know what he really
yes,
likes.
right.
Well, let's discuss the blue cowherd boy, who's God.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what do they say? His side hustle is to be a god. Otherwise,
yeah. His side hustle is to be a god. Yeah,
everyday profession is just to be with cows and play a flute and be in a
yes.
village. Okay, so we'll do Krishna next time. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Nice
Thank you.
time.
Hare
Good
Krishna.
time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.